This video is we made 1,000 people rate their attractiveness from 1 to 10.
How attractive do you think you are on a scale from 1 to 10? We have asked 1,000 people this exact question. But there's a problem. Most people asked on camera will say,
I'm a 10. All of us are 10.
10.
Damn, wait a minute.
So we wanted to...
Why do you think girls do this? Like, there's so many clips of like girls doing this where like they get asked like, what do you think your rating is out of 10? And they just say, I'm a 10. Oh, like, why do you think girls do this? It's called self-esteem. Yeah, I mean, sure, that, because you don't really see men do this. Like, I can't remember the last time a guy said he was a 10 out of 10 in one of these, you know, these bullshit street interview videos, right? I've never seen it. Like, I've never seen a man go, I'm a 10. And they walk away sassy. Like, I've never seen that ever, right? But I've seen loads of women do that. I actually think this might have something to do with mathematical illiteracy. Thank you, Cassius. This has to do with mathematical illiteracy because there's a number of ways to interpret the rating scale, right? I think the way normies interpret it is like if you're in like a room of 10 people, a 10 is like the best looking person in a group of 10 people, and a 5 is like dead average in that group of 10 people. The way we interpret the rating scale in like, you know, more sophisticated circles, like in looks maxing, we have like a bell curve system, right? So like, you know, a 6 out of 10 is like like top 80th percentile. Like a 6 out of 10 is really attractive compared to the average person, right? Compared to a 5. But most people don't rate it in like a bell curve scale. And like on like a bell curve rating system, a 10 out of 10 is literally the best looking person on the planet because they are perfect. They are 10 out of 10. They are the 100th percentile. So who is an actual 10 out of 10? I don't know. Maybe, you know, you can point to some PSL gods or goddesses, but you know, these normies saying this aren't thinking about any of this. It's all just feelings based. They don't have any consideration or any frame of reference for anything that I'm talking about. It's all just feelings. There's no it's just 10 out of 10 to them means good. It just means good looking. That's what it means. A 10 equals good, you know. It's very, you know, there's no frame of reference for anything. It's just mathematical illiteracy. And I even made a video about this on my second channel.
10.
Damn.
Like, even in like the normie scale where like a 10 is the best looking person in a group of 10, she wouldn't be that. She'd be average in that group of 10 people. She'd be a 5.
We wanted to find a way to get real honest answers. That's why we created our anonymous survey asking 1,000 people to rate their appearance as honestly as possible from 1 to 10. To get real results, we also reminded them to keep in mind that a 5 out of 10 is the average score and not bad at all.
Averages? Mathematical concepts? I don't understand. I'm a normie. Yeah, you have to like remind them. You have to explain that 5 is average out of 10. You gotta. So from 1 to 10, by the way, guys, 5 is in the middle. Okay, guys? 5 average.
We then collected each person's age and gender, so we could compare the different groups later. And finally, for reference, we also asked each participant to rate this person in the photo from 1 to 10.
This looks like a 4.75, marginally bad looking. Well, marginally lower than average. They think 7 is an average for some reason. Yeah, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's people that think they're better at things than they really are. Now, before I started looks maxing, I'd probably rate myself higher than what I think now.
Which will play an important role later in the video. After collecting data for about 2 months, we finally hit the goal of 1,000 participants. And the results were so much different from all the public street interviews you always see. Out of exactly 589 men and 411 women, the most common answer, as you might have guessed, was 7 out of 10. Nearly 20.
Oh my god. Chat is right. I have the most insightful chat of all time. Yeah, that normies think they're a 7 out of 10. And obviously in like the bell curve scale, this is just way, way off, because 7 out of 10 is like, you're like one of the best. You're genuinely really good looking if you're 7. Like you're at like a you could literally do modeling if you're like 7 out of 10 in like the bell curve scale. So like yeah, it's just nonsense.
50% of all participants picked this number. For many, it's probably the safe zone. Not arrogant, but above average. On the
It is arrogant, bro. It is arrogant. If I see some normie ass girl saying she's a 7 out of 10, I'm gonna side-eye her.
other hand, 98 people called themselves exactly average by rating themselves a 5 out of 10. And then there's the bottom of the scale. 45 people gave themselves the lowest possible score, 1 out of 10. Most of
1 out of 10 is like reserved for people horribly deformed. 1 out of 10 is a it's a you look like you'd be a Elden Ring monster, if you're a 1 out of 10. It's not good. And the reason why people are saying that, it's like it's false modesty, it's virtue signaling, it's just bullshit, right? That's why people rated themselves a 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 is Elephant Man? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the people that rated themselves a 1 out of 10, it was some chick that saw she was being recorded and was like, oh, okay, well, I want to appear like I'm super humble and like, oh, maybe I can go viral on TikTok. The slightly good-looking girl that says she's a 1. Oh, that was going on, right? I feel like looks is such a minefield for people's neurosis. Like, it's like normies don't have the emotional maturity to be objective about looks. It's kind of like race. Like, it's impossible to have like a rational conversation about race with a normie, because people's neurosis just comes out with that topic. Like, you can't just have a normal, sensible conversation about it. And I think looks is the same thing. Like, anytime like looks gets brought up, you're gonna hear some bullshit from people, like 100%. You're gonna hear some weird mental illness that comes out a lot of the time.
them were men, by the way. More on that later. Now let's look at the opposite side. 71 people gave themselves a perfect 10. That means
That's another end of the bullshit scale. Like, people that rated themselves a 1 or a 10, like, you're just doing some bullshit.
7% of the 1000 participants believe they are basically the most attractive of them all. The rest of
Oh man.
the scores are spread out in the middle range, resulting in an average score of 6.3 out of 10. In total,
6.3 is the average. Oh, okay. 6.3 is the average, huh?
78 participants gave themselves a 6 or higher. That means nearly 70% of people.
See, this kind of makes me think. You know when like normies say looks don't matter? They think like they're a 7 out of 10, right? So when they say looks don't matter, they think they're like the Chad or Stacy giving a pep talk to you, the guy that wants to aspire to look as good as them. Like, I just realized that. Huh.
People think they are better looking than average, which is mathematically impossible. But
Right, yeah. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. When you don't really know much about something, you tend to, you tend to be more confident, right? It's only when you like really look into like facial aesthetics and the ratios and really get like you really immerse yourself into this topic, do you really understand like all the flaws that you have. And some people are going to say, well, that's not good, but it is good because you want to be aware of your flaws so you can fucking correct them. But yeah, if you don't know any of this, like, a normie's gonna very easily think they're a 7 out of 10 because they don't know about like the mouth to nose ratio or canthal tilt or any of that. you know?
Logically, totally expected. A study from the University of Southampton, England, actually gave this behavior a name, the self-enhancement effect. It's the tendency to overestimate your own qualities, especially regarding attractiveness. But theory aside, we wanted to test this directly. That's why every participant also had to rate the attractiveness of the reference person we included. As you can see, his ratings were all over the place. 18 people gave him a 1 out of 10, while 59 others gave him a 10. On average,
He's not a 1 out of 10. That guy, like, it's absurd. But it is like it like the it is in the right place. The average vote, like 5 to 6. I think 5.5 is a little bit generous, but yeah, the average is a bit more reasonable than these maniacs rating him a 1 or a 10. Like, what the fuck?
he received a 5.8 out of 10. And if you paid attention, you might have noticed something. That's lower than the average self-rating of our participants. In fact, 654 participants out of 1000 rated themselves higher than they rated their reference person. That's 2 out of 3 people who think they are more attractive than him. To put this into perspective, we had the face of our reference person professionally analyzed. We will spare you the full report, but it's linked in the description. We
Really? Wow. Okay, interesting. I wonder who did the analysis.
Concluded that the sample person rates somewhere between a 6.0 and a 6.1. That means statistically he should be more attractive than about 70% of participants. But in reality, our participants thought it was exactly the other way around, proving that the self-enhancement effect was very much present in our small experiment. But the ratings of the reference person also revealed something else that's really important. Looks are incredibly subjective. 18 people rated him a 1 out of 10, while 59 others gave him a 10, believing he's one of the most attractive.
Sir, you are not accounting for the Hawthorne effect. When people know they're being observed, they are going to act differently. It's why, like, if you have you ever been in like a office and there's like an inspector coming to monitor the progress in the office or something like that, right? And during that day, people were locked the fuck in. Like, they weren't on Facebook, they weren't doing anything. And the reason is because they knew they were being observed. Like, they knew they were being judged and observed, right? So whenever you ask someone something, or you put a camera in front of them and ask them, what do you rate yourself out of 10 or this person out of 10? A lot of the time you're going to hear some bullshit. You're going to get some bullshit data because of the Hawthorne effect. Anytime you put a microscope on someone, people are going to act weird, right? It just is what it is. And that's why this is not a good barometer to base anything off of. Like, you need to look at what happens on like dating apps when people are, by themselves, swiping on Tinder while they're watching something on Netflix in their bed. That's when people are alone and they're not being judged or observed. That's when you really see what they think.
People out there. You simply can't be everyone's type. And honestly, you're not supposed to be. No matter how you look, there will always be someone out there that sees you as a perfect.
Someone in chat says 1 in Agartha, 10 in Kolkata. Moving on.
10 out of 10. Even if 999 others don't. Okay, what's also really interesting is the differences between female and male participants. We had exactly 500.
But it's bullshit. Like, if you ask like people, is McDonald's the best restaurant? A lot of people are gonna say no. Very few people will say yes. Yet I'm pretty sure it's like the most profitable restaurant franchise on the planet. So, people are going to say McDonald's sucks. When you ask them in like a survey or a video or whatever, right? But in reality, when people are left to their own devices, they get a fucking Big Mac. They get a McFlurry. So, it's the Hawthorne effect gives you some bullshit data.
89 male participants with an average score of 5.9 out of 10, and 411 female participants averaging a score of 6.9 out of 10. But here's where the results completely surprised us. Out of the male participants, only 28 rated themselves a perfect 10 out of 10. In contrast, 43 female participants also gave themselves a perfect score.
Man. The ego, like, there's such a There's so many egomaniac women out there. Like it's ridiculous. Double, like functionally double the amount of women think they're literally perfect. Like, what?
In relation, that means just 5% of men rated themselves at the very top, while over 10% of women did the same, meaning that they were more than twice as likely as men to rate themselves a perfect 10. Additionally, the total average score of
I think like women, there's some women like that have been gassed up so much, nobody ever says no to them, and it's just this wrecking ball that they're like this wrecking ball that just can't be fucking stopped. Like their ego is just out of fucking control, to the point where like double of women think they're a perfect 10 out of 10 than men.
of the woman was also nearly 1 whole point higher, and we're not alone.
Oh my god. Wait, what? So the average man thinks he's 5.9, the average woman thinks she's 6.9. Do they realize makeup is not what they actually look like? I feel like makeup is kind of gassing these ladies up. Like, I think a lot of them really do rate themselves with makeup on. Like, they use that as like their baseline, right? And I think this because if you look at like a lot of girls and like their Instagram or like their dating profile, all of their pictures are them wearing makeup. So I think makeup is the reason why, or at least in my opinion, is one of the big reasons why women rate themselves a full point higher than men. It's because they're rating themselves with makeup. And like, yeah, of course, like when you're like hiding literally every blemish or bit of redness on your skin and smoothing it out with foundation and making your eyes twice as big and like, you know, putting like some white stuff here to make your nose look sharper and some black stuff here to make your cheekbones pop out more. It's just like, yeah, of course you're a point higher, but that's not really what you look like.
And we're not alone with this finding. A 2018 study titled "Almost Every Woman Thinks She's Hotter Than Average," yes, that's the actual title, found that
Man. And another thing is like, I think a big reason, this is like a Russian doll of reasons why women have a bigger ego than men. Dating apps, like their user experience on like Tinder or whatever, is having loads of men gas them up and fluff their ego, you know, calling her beautiful and like, you know, fucking super likes and compliments and bullshit all the time on dating apps. That's their user experience. Whereas the average guy on a dating app, it's like, you know, it's barren land. There ain't no fucking matches going on. So they're gonna carry themselves in a different way just from that experience, right?
94% of women believe they are more attractive than the
Maybe I should swap sides. I don't know, man. Well, you know, there is people that do something called transmaxing, which is people cynically transitioning to become female. And yeah, their reasoning is this is going to increase my SMV. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. But again, like, if you want to become a femboy or whatever, I mean, that's on you. That's on you.
average woman. But why? The most common theory explaining this phenomenon is called the social feedback loop. Women usually tend to get way more positive feedback and praise about their looks. This kind of overly positive feedback, combined with the self-enhancement effect, could explain the significant differences in 10 out of 10 ratings we saw in our experiment between male and female participants. But how about the lowest score? In total, 45 people rated themselves a 1 out of 10, which statistically speaking is also pretty unrealistic. But here's the really interesting part. Of those 45 people, 34 were men, and only...
Oh my god, dude. Oh, those 34 men, they've just been beaten down by life. They're just like, I'm not even a human, man. I'm a one. Like, that's them, right? Whereas these 11 women that rated themselves a 1, they were just they were like, oh well, if I say I'm a one, I might go viral on TikTok because I'm obviously not a one, and like that kind of draws attention. That's the difference.
11 were women. Even a relation that means that men are twice as likely to rate themselves at the very bottom. But again, why? It might have a lot to do
Well, not
with
twice, like triple, right?
body image pressure. The fitness industry, Instagram aesthetics, and the whole high-value male culture constantly put
Fucking hell, man. We got Oscar Patel, Hamza, Trend Twins. Man, is this the shit normies watch to improve their looks? Like, is this really the four horsemen? Makeup pill cannot be ignored. Concealer helps me cover up my acne, blemishes, scarring, folds, etc. Just wish I didn't have to use it like how I look. Yeah, there is like some people in looks maxing that are like getting into subtle uses of makeup to like hide blemishes, to get more hollow cheeks and so on. This isn't something that I personally have much experience with. I've never used makeup before, but I have like guys, I have friends that swear by eyeliner to make their eyes more striking. Like it's I feel like it's going to become more normalized as people realize how competitive dating as a man is. I think men are going to gradually talk themselves into makeup.
Fitness industry, Instagram aesthetics, and the whole high-value male culture constantly push the idea that you need to be tall, shredded, rich, with a perfect face, or you don't measure up. And while women often tend to get more external validation and compliments, men sadly tend to suffer in silence. Which might explain why so many guys in our survey felt like they were at the bottom, even when that's statistically and visually not even close to the truth. Okay,
I feel like a thing that women really struggle to empathize with men on is just how feast or famine the life of a man is. With a man, like everything is like feast or famine, like as I said, where it's like there are like superstar athletes that are making millions of dollars a year, or tech CEOs that make billions, and crypto billionaires and all of that shit. Like in the top rungs of society, men are overrepresented. Absolutely. The feminists are right in a vacuum. Yeah, there is like an overrepresentation of men in the top rungs of society. What they don't account for is that in the bottom rungs of society, men are also overrepresented. Whereas, you can look at like stats such as like, people that get murdered, people that take the lightless walk, drug addicts, homeless, all of these like objectively negative life outcomes, men are overrepresented in. And in even like just undesirable jobs. Like, when was the last time you saw a female garbage disposal worker? I've literally never seen it. In my 31 years of life, I've never seen a garbage truck where there was like a woman hanging off it, picking up trash cans to put in the garbage truck. Like I've never seen it. Literally never seen it. Or like those like videos of some Russian guy climbing up a electric pole to do some maintenance, to do some engineering, 300 feet up in the air. Like all of that is just men, right? So yeah, there's a lot of like great stuff for Chad and like really intelligent men to enjoy. But there's a lot of fucking terrible bullshit that men go through as well, right? Like it's very feast or famine, whereas like women just tend to land on their feet, no matter what, really. Yeah, of course there's like exceptions, but women tend to be all right on average, whereas men, it's very polarized. It's feast or famine. Like you can be like have a great life as a Chad, or like some super intelligent, millionaire or something, and then there's like homeless men, drug addicts, fucking people fighting in prison. Like you have that side of being a man as well that feminists just never really account for.
Might remember that we also asked the participants to give us their age, just to see if there are any differences. But we didn't expect
in Mexico there are women doing these jobs too. Okay, well, I don't really know what's going on in Mexico. I'm only saying what I've seen.
Expect the results to be so drastically different. We divided the participants into 3 age groups: 15 to 20 years old, 21 to 30 years old, and 31 years.
Do cleaning ladies count? I mean, how undesirable is that? Like, I'd rather change some linens than handle garbage bags all day. Like, I'll be honest. Cleaning a sewer or bomb disposal unit. Like, you know, I gotta say, like, if that's the worst outcome for a woman, being a cleaning lady, I mean, I think that's pretty good.
And older. Can you guess which group had the highest average score? The lowest is the score of the youngest age group, being just 5.2 out of 10. In the middle, we have the 21 to 30 year olds, averaging a 6.1 out of 10. And the
Interesting. So wow, that's interesting. So 15 to 20 year olds rate themselves a 5.2. 21 to 30 year olds rate themselves a 6.1. So older Gen Z have a higher estimation of their looks than the young Gen Z. Interesting.
31 years and older scored the highest average at 7.3 out of 10.
Oh my god. So millennials are like fucking egomaniacs. Oh my god. Millennials are fucking nuts. So everyone above 31 thinks they're a 7.3 out of 10? Like, what the fuck? Now, there's like some ways to interpret this. Is this just millennials being egomaniacs? Or is this because the 15 to 20 year old demographic is more attuned with looks maxing and social media, so they have like a more realistic estimation of their looks? Maybe that's the case, because a lot of millennials, you know, are really disconnected from like looks maxing and all that shit, right? So I don't know. Interesting.
As you might have noticed, the older the participants were, the higher they rated themselves. But why is that?
They didn't grow up with social media. Well, us millennials did, and like I guess I'm at the literal lowest end because I'm 31. We grew up with like MySpace, but yes, more so than Gen Z, millennials spent less time in their youth on social media. Like we had like MySpace, you know, but the real like Instagram, TikTok thing is like its own beast, right? Like it's just different. It's just different. Like I don't think any other generation has been exposed to more insanely good-looking people than Gen Z, right?
Have grown up in a world where every face is filtered and every body retouched. Everything is just a highlight reel from someone else's life, not reality.
Right.
And over time, that destroys your self-image. The younger you are, the more you tend to compare your looks to others. But as people get older, looks usually play a smaller role in how we see ourselves. Confidence starts to come from other things, like caring for people you love. So that concludes the experiment we've been running over the past 3 months. If you appreciate the work and time we put into this...
Yeah, this was good. This was very interesting. I find it funny how, you know, these these millennials think they're a 7.1, like a 7.1, 7.3, something like that. It's just, that's unbelievable.